finally a book on ITSM that's not just tech and frameworks, how asking can be the thing that actually opens your door for career growth. And what is the skill that is most surprising that you need to grow your career in ITSM? We're going to talk about this and so much more today with Rina Brahmbhatt. Rina, let's get into it.
Oh, thank you so much, Rocky. Thank you for having me. Yeah, let's get into it.
Oh, we're so excited to have you. You have such a robust amount of experience and background. We just talked a little bit, and you talked about starting in the post office, moving to the UK from India. It's a lot of change throughout your journey. Walk me through kind of how you landed into this consulting and training, and we're going to talk a little bit about a book that you just wrote that you're going to be coming out with very, very soon. From the time we're recording this, when we release it, it's probably already going to be out. But walk me through your journey. How did you become Rina, consultant, author, who you are today?
Oh, thank you so much. You make it sound as if, wow. Well, you know what? It's a little bit like London tube system, underground, often confusing, delayed, but it gets you where you need to go. And the reason I say that is I actually started my very first job in England as a post office customer service assistant, where I'll be greeting customer and I'll be helping them to choose the right kind of postal service, like first class, second class, you airmail, ground, etc., etc. And then I had this, in sort of like a dream wish or desire to go and work in head office. So I spoke to my manager and I said, look, I want to get a job in corporate head office. And he was very supportive of people who wanted growth in their career. So he hooked me up with a manager in the head office and said, why don't you just go do some work experience? Long story short, I got myself a job there. Really started as administrative position as a support assistant in IT and business analyst space, and then I moved on. And in parallel, I was doing my ITIL qualification. So I then moved on to become a resource manager, network change manager, service delivery manager, senior service delivery manager, service level manager, architect, program. The list goes on and on. And I think it was about 3 years ago, I decided to venture into a consulting space, and I got my first break in Gartner, which I was super, excited about. And I spent like 2 years or so, and then I started freelance contracting, and then now in a, training and consulting space. Yeah, so that's how kind of, all that zigzag got me to where I am today.
Arena, the reason that it sounds so wow is because if you think about your journey, right? If you just take a moment and reflect on it, it is wow, right? I mean, the amount of experience you gain, not only you talk about coming to a new country, right? And learning a new language and learning an industry from scratch and all the different roles you've had. I think consultant is, you have some people who are in that role that maybe don't have the experience as much or they're very niche. You've really done a lot that has enabled you to give back in meaningful ways, right? Whether it's through training, consultancy, or just conversations like this. So yes, it sounds like wow because if you think about your journey, it is very much wow, Rena. So
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I so appreciate that. I mean, recently I learned in some framework they use wow as a ways of working.
mm,
So I kind of, remind myself it's not so much of a wow, like wow, brilliant, but more like that's always been my ways of working. And the reason I mentioned that is when I was in this industry and wanted to progress to next step, I was working at a time where kind of changing a position every couple of years or every year was frowned upon. It just seemed like you're just not settling, like you're always going for that next thing. And in some places I actually suffered where I wouldn't get the bonus because I didn't stay in the job long enough. So yeah, it's kind of
wow.
like taking that risk and balancing it out, like going there, grounding yourself, learning, and say, okay, well, it's not challenging me as much. How do I get to the next, and where do I learn more? And I think that way you kind of find out what your strength is, what you enjoy. And for me, it was ITSM
Mm,
because I realized, well, I actually wanted to become a project manager. Okay, so I went
Yeah.
around studying postgraduate in project manager, and I got a job as a resource manager, so I can understand how the projects are mapped out, resources are allocated, etc., etc. But I just wasn't getting success there. Somehow I would like apply for a job, great resume, great interview, while you don't have an experience. I'm like, well, if you don't give me a chance, how would I get an experience? But I then continued growing in my ITSM space, and I realized that IT service management isn't just about incident and change. It's a lot more than that. It's about our ability to use the tools and technology and deliver the value for the
Mhm.
people. It could be
Yes.
customer users or your teammates. And, that's what really truly drives me. And that's what I enjoy teaching, mentoring, and even writing a book about it. So, yeah, it's ways of working. It's not like, wow.
I love that. I've never heard that before, but I think I'm gonna just
I know, I was
uh,
quite surprised when I saw that. I was like,
wow.
what is this? I have to
Ways
look
of
it up.
working. And I love that you talk about ITSM being so much more than just, setting up a CMBD or incident or change or right? Because you are adding value to the business. And I just started a new role in the last month.
Mhm.
And this week was the first week I was on site with everybody. They
Okay.
have a connection week, and so I've met some people. I've been on site a few times, but this week they had everybody in the country. And there's not a ton of states that represented, about 200 people in the company. We all came together, and I'm just
Yeah.
having these dialogues with people, and I found myself repeating all the new people I met, like, "Hey, IT, we're here in our governance roles, in our infrastructure roles, in our development roles. Like, our team is here to enable you to be successful, right? To
Yeah.
enable you to be able to serve our members and serve our customers in more meaningful ways." So I love that you call that out. And you've gone through all these roles, and now you're going to be an author, right? People are going to start reading your insights, those around ITSM, etc. What is the book called, and what is it about? Like, what made you want to write it? Walk us through that.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So the name of the book is
The ITSM Playbook.
someone told me it's quite a common phrase in Canada, apparently. They actually sell merchandise with "th" with a question mark. I'm like, should I
Eh.
change it? It's like, okay, well, no, it kind of came out originally, so no, I'm not going to change it. But the reason I called it
The ITSM Playbook.
is not many people know about this great career. Okay, like, so I speak to many people in the industry, and I ask, like, how did you find out? And it's always accidental. No one kind of sets out to become an
Yes.
ITSM professional. It just happens because either they are in a service desk, or so and so pushed them there, or they were a network engineer and they found out about this framework, all those good exciting stuff. So I thought, well, this book needs to be written. And so when I started writing, it was very odd because, having a young kid, working full time, really not enough time in a day. So I was on my way back from England to US, and I just thought, open up my iPad and just type away everything and anything I would know about this. And I wrote it all up. Probably I put like 10,000 words in a one journey. Okay, that was like 6 to 7 hours. And I sent it to the person who I kind of trust that he will be giving me feedback in a very non-judgmental way. And he did that. He did exactly that. And he said, Rina, this is not a book. This is all your experience and your journal, to be fair. So I had to restructure, think a lot. I read a lot of research book. Like, I don't know if you know a book called like What Color is Your Parachute, which like a lot of
I've
people use
not heard
uh,
that one, but
to choose their. Oh, you haven't? Oh,
no,
you
no.
should Google it. I
Okay.
mean, it's very kind of a classic book right now. I would say, like, I don't think it fits the modern ways of working right now, but nevertheless, it's a very useful book because it gave me a structure. And I worked, read more books, and I kind of came out with a structure as to this is what it should look like. I wrote it, I started getting feedback, and it is almost ready to be published on 20th of August. It's been very hard at times, even to a point that I kind of packed it all away and like I'm not going to touch it. Like, oh, I don't know who's going to read it. Who cares? I don't know why am I doing it. Like, a lot of people publish books, and do we need this book? There's so much material on YouTube. All that excuses you look for why you don't need to work hard, I guess. But I persisted, and then earlier this year I gave myself a deadline, and I said, okay, if I do not finish this by end of this month, I'm going to pack it up. I'm not going to talk about it because at some point my husband was fed up. I'm like, oh my God, you keep talking, talking, talking. And why aren't you doing anything? I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm not going to make my feel bad about just saying things and not doing anything about it. So, yeah, and that worked. That really worked. And yeah, I'm like 2 weeks away from launching my book.
I love it. You set yourself up with the deadline, right? The pressure, the self-imposed pressure, and I love that you had to wrestle with those thoughts of, "Oh, do we really need this book? Are there people who are gonna read it?" And at the end of the day, yeah, I think anybody who writes, whether it's blogs, you're consistently writing on LinkedIn, if you're doing it from a place of genuine and selfless motivation and selfless motives, you don't care how many people read it, right? You care about the value that people get when they do read it. And you know, it's funny because you started with really like a mini memoir of your journey, and now it's turned into something that you're like, I'm gonna put this into the world, and if somebody gets value out of it, right, it's gonna be beneficial. It's gonna be a win, and all that effort, and you're gonna get a message from somebody at some point, and I don't know how soon. Maybe it's the day it releases, maybe it's a month later, maybe it's a year later, and they're gonna say, "Hey, I read your book. I read this chapter. This really helped me do XYZ," right? And that's how you know it doesn't all that effort was worth it, and I love that. R So, Rena, what is the book about? Right? What is it, you know, what do you walk people through? Is that just another ITSM book, right? Like, what are you sharing with the audience who picks up the book and reads it?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So my number one goal is when I got my early reader to review my book, and I got plenty. I mean, thank God LinkedIn
Yeah.
for its existence, because I kind of just like, I don't know, how will I find? Do I have to offer like a coffee voucher? Like, why would strange people invest time in my book where they don't even know me? Anyway, I wrote up a post and say, hey guys, please help me. And I got 50 plus people filling out form that they want to read my book. I was like, wow. And I sent out the draft and I got amazing reviews, like to a point that when I got my first review and she said, this is definitely the book, I'm going to give it to my student. I ran to my husband. I was like, oh my God, look, this is what someone said. So I think no doubt it's going to bring value. And the book is, let's say, if I were to give you a book that you can read about what it's like to be in ITSM, and where do you start? First chapter very much talks about my experience in New York, Manhattan, when I was trying to go to HDI event actually, and
Hey.
how Google Maps wasn't kind of working the way it should. And I was kind of, Manhattan, Grand Central, not the easiest place to find where you need to go. And I actually use AI there. The reason, because it was a real experience, and I'm not like a fictional writer as such. So I use that technology to kind of make it all like a really vivid and sensory experience. And then I ended with like, this is the only chapter. Everything else is based on my experience, and it kicks off with, what is ITSM? What do you hope to gain from it? Like monetary reward, the experience, the culture, the job satisfaction. And then it kind of sets you up as to what the next step is going to be, You can skip the chapters in between, but it's pretty much your tool guide. Like, let's say you wanted to learn how to swim, it will show you like what does swimming actually mean, and what techniques you need to know, what are the risks, what are the cons, what are the pros, what do you get out of it, and then what do you do after that? Like, are you just going to swim in the pool, are you going to go to lake, are you going to go to the river, are you going to go to ocean, like, all those good next steps. There are two chapter really focuses on tools and technology, because I want people to be aware. Sometimes you walk into the job and like, oh, we're using monday.com or we're using ServiceNow, and the struggle isn't doing your job, but the struggle is like navigating all these tools that are
Mhm.
supposed to be helping us.
Mhm.
So I kind of put a little snippet so people can get as real experience as possible. So yeah, I mean, I think there's so much in this book that I almost feel like if you pick up this book and read and kind of follow, you could get yourself a job in IT service management only if you wanted.
I love that. We had a guest on this like early in our HDI Bites and Banter journey. I don't his name's KevTech. If you know Kevin,
Mhm.
Paulerio, I believe is how you pronounce his last name, but he's on LinkedIn. and he has a coaching
Okay.
and he does all this stuff, right? But he's someone you should send a book to because he coaches a lot of people on like getting a job and updating their resume, and it sounds like even our HDI local chapters, if we could, or do you speak at any of our conferences, Rena? Like at Service Management
Oh,
World,
no, no,
Support
no.
World Life? You
No,
should.
no, no, not yet, not yet.
You
I mean,
should.
I guess in time,
Yeah.
I'm not ready to leave my house right now, with the kids. So
Where
I
are you
can't
based
try to
out
do
of? Are
things.
you in New York?
I'm in New
Okay.
York. Yes.
Yeah, so, one, check out, I don't know if you've met Greg, Golding,
I
or
have.
okay. Yeah, stay plugged in, like, it sounds like you have so much to offer, right? And this book is one of those outlets, and I guarantee, we're trying to grow the next generation of IT
Mhm.
leaders. There's a lot of legends in our community,
Mhm.
which means there's a lot of opportunity for people to come in and have new voices, and which
Yes.
also means there's a lot of people who need to learn, right? And need to figure out, okay, how to grow in this thing called ITSM and this career. And you make a really valid point, and you talk about, I didn't know what to do, right? I couldn't find a book about my career, we were talking. And so I'd be curious, as you're writing this book and you're kind of laying out this foundation, right? These different tubes, if you will, and making that
Mhm.
complexity of navigating your career in ITSM a little more simple for people, a little more digestible. What are the things
Mhm.
that really stand out that you think, oh, if you read the book, this is something you're gonna get. We dive deep into certifications, or is it leadership skills, or is it different roles, or like what are those things that you're really unpacking for the audience?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. For me, in the book specifically, I think it depends on what level you are
Hmm.
at. Like, so someone who is just kind of just kicking off your career, you focus on the interview tips. How do you get the foot in the door? How do you, customize your resume to go for the right job? How do you do the job search? How do you update your LinkedIn? What are the kind of foundational certification you might want to go and learn so you have that extra advantage on your resume, all that kind of stuff. I think as you mature, and let's say you're already in the ITSM role now and you would like to grow your career, it focuses on different elements of service management, like sort of that your role isn't limited to just being a service desk manager. There are other great and bigger things that you could be doing. And how would you do that? Like, what can help you? So is it me going expanding in project management, and what does that mean? Or is it me going and learning about COVID? Or is it me becoming a ServiceNow architect? All because we know this industry is so broad. Like, it isn't just sort of like a very narrow focus that you're an incident manager, therefore you'll be incident manager for the rest of your career. Like, that's not how it works. So there are definitely 2 to 3 chapters really breaking that down, like helping you to get a foot in the door, and then how do you grow with some very practical tips around your resume, your interviews. There's actually a chapter where I have an insight from a real ITSM professional, where they have kind of said what their role is and what their morning looks like, and how do they um, complete their task, how do they do it well, what are the challenges they see. And I have kind of put like a broad perspective. It isn't just service operation or service manager. I've got like CMDB architect, I've got the business analyst. So yeah, of course, I'm a little biased because I wrote the book, right? But I definitely think that the way I see this book is that the person looking for a job in ITSM can pick up this book and just go through it from top to bottom and implement what they have learned. They could get a job.
Yeah.
They could absolutely get a job. Like, there will be no unknown, behind the door secret they need to know as that moment, like, going and putting yourself in the job market. Now, we know job market is very volatile right now.
Yeah.
So to get ahead, I think you need to like make sure that you have all the skills which are in demand. So you should do definitely good research, look for intern position, look for junior positions, and learn to grow, because ITSM, like I said, it isn't about just one thing doing very well. You really have to understand the whole dynamics of like tools, technology, people. And when you can bring that together, you will be successful. And I think it's important, like whether you're a junior customer service or a very senior head of IT operations, if you keep that in your focus, you'll be successful. That's how I see it.
Yeah, no, I love that because I do think there's a gap in our industry of good resources that and there's a lot of resources that talk about different metrics around different, roles or different types of things impacting our industry. But what you don't see a lot of is people talking about the different roles, what those roles do, and I love that you actually bring professionals and their perspective and that whole idea of a day in the life, right?
Yeah.
Like so many young folks and so many people looking for a career pivot or who are maybe, I think there's a lot of people who maybe have more experience and knowledge than they realize, but they don't know these roles exist. Right? They don't
Yes.
know that this incident management and service desk experience where you were on a smaller team and you had to do a lot of things can open the door for, CMBD architecture. It can open the door for the things you did in ServiceNow becoming a job for you, right? I love that you're bringing something that is so desperately needed to the next generation, to be able to
Yeah. And
practically take those.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think funny you mentioned that because I actually went into Pace University campus for the first year student because I wanted to run this idea through them to see like how warm I can get. So first of all, no one had ever heard about IT service management. So that was like, yeah, that's why we need the book. And second, when I just read out first chapter in few lines and I said, did this put you to sleep or do you want to know more? And they're like, oh no, definitely we want to know more. Like how do you do this? So definitely I think there is a gap now. One thing was they did prefer podcast and YouTube over reading, sitting and reading a book. Even their textbook, I was like, but what if they guarantees you like job success or weaved into your coursework? And then they're like, yeah, maybe, but maybe you could do short chapters, like don't give us the whole book. I'm like, yeah, maybe something I'll think about. But I think you're right. I think it will definitely be like for a younger generation coming into the workspace, it will definitely help them. Even with the innovation of AI, if you don't really understand the foundation or the code process, you can't be successful. I
Yeah.
just don't see how AI can give you a lot of different answer, but if you cannot distinguish correct versus fake hallucination, I don't know how you can be successful in your job. And I
Yeah.
think that's why the foundational knowledge is so important.
It's funny. I've only been in this industry in IT for about it's August 1st, 10 years and like a month and a it's been like ten years and a
Okay.
month, right? So
Okay.
not really all that long in the grand scheme of things. And I started as a service desk. And just like you said, Rena, I accidentally got a job on the service desk. And
Mm-hmm.
now I'm in this role of IT governance. And I had
Okay.
no idea that a role like this even existed until I was probably 6 or 7 years into my career.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you just never know what's out there, and, I love that this resource kinda opens the eyes of folks. Now, is there any plans for audio book version of this? Because you talking to the students who like podcast format, do you plan on putting or producing an audiobook or having an audio version produced?
You know what? I really haven't thought
Okay.
about it. I think as of now, I just want to get the published
Yep.
version
Yep.
out and then see how it lands. I think it's a good feedback from them, but I also think that if you really want something, you have to work towards
Yeah.
it. And I don't want to make this a little gimmicky thing that you can do or a trend. It really is a you know deeply well thought out practical guide that you can use and actually be successful, so I might do it in future,
Yeah.
but as of now, just go with the book.
Well, selfishly, Rena, I'm glad that you gave a podcast a shot to talk about the book and talk about what you're doing because I think there's so much value, right, for our audience. Let me ask you a question. You wrote all of this insight about navigating the ITSM landscape in terms of career. What is something that might surprise people to learn is a critical skill when you're trying to grow your career within ITSM?
Right. That's a really good question. And for me, it was learning the importance of people management, relationship with the people who you work with. I think that is so important because we get very much focused on the tools and technology, and very little attention goes to the people who we work with or people who we are delivering services for. And it may surprise you, like the more you focus on that aspect of your job, the greater reward awaits you. I have to say that. And for me, it was kind of a lesson learned after a few projects where I would focus on, technology and making it faster and efficient and cheaper and saving money and squeezing things here and there. But very little focus on my team or their development, or giving them the resources they need, or even going to a team and solving a problem was like, okay, roll up my sleeve and I know what the solution is, versus now how I now operate is, let's get to the solution together and let's go on this journey together. I think you have a better buy-in. I would say, like, and for me it was definitely a surprise aspect, where I thought like how fast and how well I can do my job will get me to where I need to go, but it wasn't actually any of that. It was how I was with the people I worked with, how
Mm,
well I collaborated, how I manage my relationships. And yeah, I think that might surprise you. I mean, it may be different things for different
yeah.
people, but for me, that was definitely the takeaway.
No matter how technical you are, right? No matter what you're doing, the ultimate commonality in all technology is it's serving people and you will work with people. So I think that's so on point. What other insights or things you think, the audience should know or you would like to share about your book? Anything else that you're like, if this is a aha moment or something that would be really just beneficial that you'd like to share?
Yeah, sure. I would say that it's a fun, light read. Okay, so it's not
Yeah.
a jargon loaded textbook. So definitely have fun with it. I would say, like, you will learn in a manner that you will be like, oh, okay, I know more than what I knew before, and that's kind of is the goal. So yeah, I think it's a light, fun read. Don't take everything too seriously. Okay, I might have
Yeah.
said few things, like especially all those certifications and how many exams you may need to sit. It's good. It helps you to shine in your resume when you are kind of going for the next position. But if you don't have the people aspect, none of that matters. Okay, because how many times we have heard in a senior leadership that someone's got a role because they had a certificate or because they were good with people.
No, that's
Yeah.
such a good point. Well, Rena, where can our audience find your book? Where can they connect with you, see what you're doing, see what you're sharing? Where can they connect with you and find the book?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm pretty active on
Okay.
LinkedIn for all the reason for my upcoming book, no doubt. So they can find me on LinkedIn. The book, if they would like to order, it will be available on Amazon, and I'm also working on a website, so they can find the book there. They're always welcome to email me, and after the episode, I'll share the link where they can book a one-to-one consult with me if they wanted to learn more about the work I'm doing.
So you heard it here first. Go check out when it releases, and
Yeah.
by the time we drop this episode, you can go find it on Rena's website or through her LinkedIn. Rena, the final question I'm going to ask you: if you could hit rewind and you could go
Mhm.
talk to a younger Rena, what is word of advice or words of wisdom? What would you share with the younger version of Rena?
You know what? I would just go for it, because you don't know what awaits if you don't try. That's what I would tell younger Rena.
That's so good. It's so simple, but it's so good. Go for it.
Thank you.
Take a
Yeah, go for it.
chance.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, what's a was? You might not get it, but at least you tried.
I love that. You'll never regret going for it. Never.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, I went through so many job rejection, but I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't go through those job rejection. And what it taught me, actually, there's a section in the book which talks about interviews, and literally, I would go for a job interview. I'll come back, I'll write all the questions, and I'll kind of do star and say, what did I answer well? What I mean, literally, I have like a whole repository of potential questions you could get in IT service management job interviews. Yeah, and you just learn, and all that wouldn't happen if you didn't go for it. So yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, Rena, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for, sharing what I'm excited to read now that we've talked a little bit about it, and I know our audience will be as well. We appreciate you, and have a fantastic rest of your weekend. And make sure you tag us when the book releases, HDI local
Oh
chapters, so we
yeah.
can make sure all of our local chapters folks can get their hands on it. And we will catch you on the next episode of Bites and Banter.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I absolutely loved talking to you, and good luck with your new role. I hope it gives you what you're looking for.
Thanks, Rena.